Hello, welcome back to Melon Lave Wargaming. This is War in the Pacific Admirals Edition, play-by-email campaign playing as Japan. We're now doing the setup for the December 21st, 1941 turn. Expect this will be a fairly quick setup. Not too much has changed from the setups from the previous turns, but there are a few things I want to focus in on. Starting in China at Hong Kong, I think this is going to be the turn that Hong Kong finally falls. In the combat report for the last time around, even though we were suffering from a bit of fatigue and we didn't make that much headway in the battle itself, enemy casualties are disproportionate to ours, and they're staying that way. So even though we have one unit that's fairly fatigued over here, I'm going to go ahead and keep pushing. And you know, if we don't get it, it's not that big of a deal, but I think we've got it. And if we don't, we're going to be clearing out these guys this turn. These guys have attack orders. I expect this will be an easy win over this unit because they've been out in the open and just being bombed continuously for several turns. So we'll be able to move these guys in let's say 2 more days if we fail, and then we can just push with the bigger units. Meanwhile, these bomber targets are pretty much going all in on Hong Kong to try to push our guys over the top, with the Idas also attacking these guys just in case they're trying to move into Hong Kong. They'd be doing it without the benefit of roads, but I'd still like to slow them down to combat speed instead of move speed. Out here near the East Coast, we're also taking a shot at Chusin. Over here, these guys that defeated a land unit of mine in a previous turn, not quite ready to engage them yet. We've got more forces coming in from Xinyang. Once they arrive, we'll be ready to push. Over here, we are moving a total of 3 divisions into this hex. Once we have 3 divisions here, I'll go ahead and push across west to get on the other side of this river. Where they go from there may depend on the enemy's reaction. I've assigned some recon over to Nanyang. We'll see what the force levels look like here. But this would be a nice place to take if we're not ready to start attacking Luoyang and Changchao, just because this is the main supply route to these areas. So if we cut that off, we cut off supplies here. We also cut off most of the supplies coming down to here. So we'd just be pulling the rug out from under a lot of Chinese units if we manage to take that. So that's kind of my bias. Meanwhile, the road to Sian, we're pushing up still. I also purchased one armored recon unit from the what is it, Manchukuo? Manchukuo. One armored recon unit and one tank regiment. So they're traveling by rail, and they'll be coming up here. So they'll join the push towards Sian. And then, you know, as we continue to clean up this area, we'll see more and more units start to come down here to participate with that push. That's going to do it for China. Over here by Rangoon, I've dropped the altitude of my bombers down a little bit to try to get a little bit more success. 10,000 wasn't cutting it. Maybe we can do better at 8. What's really going to help us do better here will be getting an air HQ there. But before I do that, we need to get Kuching online. So we did get our additional base engineers to arrive. So we should be able to get this up to 4 soon. Once that is up to 4, this will be my primary Betty and Nell base in the Singapore vicinity, and that'll allow me to move, 3rd Air Division HQ up to Bangkok. At the moment, that rail is blocked. More on that in a moment. So that might be an amphibious operation, which is fine by me. Tavoy, not attacking just yet. Or actually, no, I did intend to attack. You see, I love that I'm doing these setups while I'm talking to you guys, because that's when I missed stuff, or that's when I noticed the things that I missed. So yeah, we're setting them to attack. It had originally just been the 55th Cavalry that arrived. Now that we've got an infantry regiment, that should be more than enough. The units still coming in are going to be engineers and artillery, so we're not too worried about that. Yeah, this is a small base with barely any defenders. Well, not that small of a base. They've got an airfield size 4. But there's no one here defending it, really. So an infantry regiment should be more than enough. Moving down, I was a little bit distressed to notice that the Imperial Guards Division, despite being in move mode and actually having move orders in previous turns, this turn did not have a destination set. So I've set them to advance. We're going to head down the road and head to Alor Star. I have no idea how many days of movement I lost for how long these guys were sitting here, or how long they've been sitting there altogether. That's just frustrating. I forgot if I was advancing them to Alor Star to get rid of this unit that's blocking my rail line, but either way, they stopped moving for some reason. Meanwhile, I'm just using units that have arrived in Singor and Patani to kind of surround these guys. Obviously, this unit can't retreat either. So basically, with the Imperial Guard swinging around, they're going to take care of these guys. We're blocking the escape for them while also moving in some units. So we should be able to wipe these guys out in, I don't know, like 4 or 5 days, probably. I would much rather have the Imperial Guards pressing down and getting some work done, though. Meanwhile, we have a total of 2 divisions disembarking here in Bangkok. I'm actually really surprised that we got 2 additional divisions here as fast as we did. So in this case, there's actually not enough room to dock everybody. Speaking of which, let's expand this port so that doesn't happen so much in the future. Heck, let's expand the airfield too. Plenty of engineers here, I think. So yeah, at a minimum, we'll be able to rail them down to Singor in a couple days, and then as this rail situation opens up, we might be able to get them further down. We'll be clearing out Temalo this turn. That may result in a retreat because or may result in somebody being able to pursue. I'm keeping one of my infantry regiments in reserve so that they can hopefully pursue. Meanwhile, we've got an absolute breakthrough over here on the west coast. So these armies are basically just going to move down at best speed, killing these guys on the way, hopefully. So we have recon sweeps going into Johor Bahru. We didn't detect any fighters there. We're also seeing essentially no fighters at Singapore. Nevertheless, even though I don't know where their fighters seem to be coming from, it's clear that he was invested in getting the AVG here. So it's something that we have to keep an eye out. So we still have sweeps going on in Singapore. We still have escorted bomber strikes. We're going to be really trying to focus on accumulating airfield damage here. And, if we end up, getting rid of his supply and running it out, that's good too. Obviously, we can't besiege them completely by supply because they've got industry here. And resources to keep that industry running, but also you can see that the resource production here isn't nearly enough to keep up with the industrial capacity of the base. So that won't last forever. In any case, I'd really like to have Singapore captured by the end of the month was really my original goal, and with all the delays that have happened up north, I don't think that's going to happen. But who knows? Maybe if I can go ahead and get the Mersing reserve in action, that maybe it still does happen. So I'm kind of thinking we'll give them one more day to kind of show their hand about what they're going to be doing with the fighters. And if the fighters don't show up, then maybe now's the time to go to Mersing. especially if we start knocking these bomber numbers down with our airstrikes over the coming days. Over here, we're just hoping to get these guys out, really. Yeah, heck, we don't even need these supplies that bad, so we're just going to pull these guys out now. You guys can go straight to Cameron Bay. Goodbye. And that frees up these guys to defend them. Actually, better yet, you don't need to follow anybody. You can just patrol here. Yeah, so if Force Z wants to come out and play, I'll give him a fight. It'd be a pretty even fight, but stopping him here might give me that airstrike that I keep asking for. If nothing else, they'll be too shot up to really get away. We're still seeing like tons of ship contacts in these bases, so you know, the sooner we start working substantial forces down here, the better. Heck, I might even be able to rebase. Well, no, because that air HQ is going north. I already said that. But once this base comes online, yeah, these guys are going to be in trouble. They're going to be in a lot of trouble. Moving down here, I'm going to let the Mini KB and Carrier Division 2 take a little bit of a rest at Babel Doab when they arrive. Not only do they need to replenish fuel and sorties, they need to replenish aircraft, and a lot of these guys didn't start off with the full complement of aircraft that they can have. Like, just as an example here, like these squadrons are all at, you know, full strength at 18 each, but that's only 5471 aircraft. So I'm hoping I'll be able to increase that at the base. So yeah, so they'll be pulling in today, and probably I'll let them spend an extra day there to get that taken care of. Meanwhile, we're up to 4 submarines here. So I've formed another ASW squadron. Unfortunately, they're just PBs, mostly suppressing these guys. But between, you know, having the carriers here, and all these Jakes, I know it's just 6, it's not all these Jakes, but that's where they're focused on these guys. So hopefully we're going to suppress them down a little bit. Alright, so moving on to the Dutch East Indies, we're about to pick this unit up, and we've already removed the Naval Guard unit from here. So between this regiment and the Naval Guard unit, I think we're ready to hit Ambon. Doesn't look all that well defended, but that could change. So while that's going on, we've got, you know, 2 covering forces available in the general area to help provide security, and also I think the KB is going to be, or not the baby KB is more or less going to be assigned to cover this operation. So after they've finished, you know, replenishing over at Babel, that'll happen while these guys are being picked up. Then they can report back and kind of act as a covering force. Carrier Division 2, their next assignment is actually going to be to come all the way down here. I want to get a peek at Darwin, especially because there's a possibility that the enemy carriers escape through the Arafura Sea. We don't know that that's the case, but they might have. And, you know, between Carrier Division 2 and the baby KB, if necessary, because they're going to be reporting down here anyways to cover the Ambon operation, we may be able to catch them in port if that's what they're up to. Speaking of the enemy carriers, so it was really surprising that we did not have any contacts anywhere. I would expect that if they all just went to top speed and ran, we'd be catching, we'd be picking them up. Like, these guys would be picking them up, these submarines would be picking them up, my carriers would be picking them up. So I think these guys basically just ran to port and disbanded, and that's why we're not seeing anybody. So my solution to that is, like, the Carrier Division 1's basically going to hit 4 different ports this turn. We've basically each bomber squadron's assigned to a different port, so it's going to be Carnes, Townsville, Bowen, and Cooktown. So Kate's on the outside and Val's on the inside is how that's going to work. Meanwhile, Carrier Division 3 is going to hit Brisbane. And they're just kind of going to keep moving up as they do that. And see what else we can see. Meanwhile, our replenishment group is basically, I want to say that's 2 days away from being able to tank with Carrier Division 1. And part of the reason why I've got Carrier Division 1 hitting everybody here is so that there's no reason for them to move very far, so that's going to let the Oilers catch up with them pretty quickly. Over here, we've got fairly good recon on Rabaul. It looks like all their bombers have pulled out. Because of this, I've set the Bettys and or Nells that are attacking to switch from an airfield attack to a ground attack. So hopefully we can cause some disruption on the enemy here and prevent them from potentially overrunning my troops. Although the possibility of that happening is going down significantly now that I've landed another unit, and there's one more on the way. Once, I guess this is 1 1/3 naval guards, once these guys arrive, I'll go ahead and make a push to actually capture Rabaul. The cruisers that were providing fire support for this landing are now split off from this amphibious group. They're going to rendezvous with these guys, so once again we'll have naval fire support for the amphibious landing operations, and then that's going to be combined with the Bettys bombing the base, and hopefully that together will minimize the amount of damage done by the coastal batteries. Meanwhile, the Nells that had rebased a truck to potentially strike the enemy carriers if they moved up or to the northwest, they're back in the Marshalls, kind of where they belong. We've set back up a little bit of a patrol area to see what's going on at Wake, and they're mostly on naval attack orders. So hopefully that means we kill these guys. They're last reported heading east, so they'll be moving through my search areas. I think the last thing to talk about is going to be Pearl Harbor. I let my submarine deployments get a little bit sloppy as I was, tightening up this net or this noose, whatever we want to call it. They're supposed to be operating mostly in pairs, where a float plane carrier is associated with another one of the longer range submarines. So I've made this a little bit more orderly. So what we're doing now is the float plane carriers are pushed towards the outside of the net. Their associated paired up submarine is on the inside, between the float plane carrier patrol zone and Pearl Harbor. As you can see, the patrol areas are generally much closer than they used to be. Oops, wrong 6. There we go. And that's going to do it. So we'll see you for the replay. Oh, no, that does not do it. There's one more really important thing to talk about. Luzon. I skipped Luzon because I went straight through the Dutch East Indies. Alright, so nearly all my bombers are going to be attacking here at Cabanatuan because we really need to prevent further military losses there. So I've got one Sally that's going to be attacking the airfield at Manila. Everybody else hitting these enemy units. The enemy recaptured the base last turn, but they did not force a retreat. And it's not because we're surrounded. This hex is a valid retreat for us. So, yeah, I'm not sure why we lost the base, but they retreated. That's just how it goes, I guess. Actually, never mind. Meanwhile, a lot of my forces here are going to hold instead of moving on to Clark. Mostly because there's no reason to rush into Clark. The fact is I have most of the enemy confined there, and they really can't go anywhere else unless they want to retreat to Bataan or defend Manila, or, one of those things. Clark's actually a really good place to defend because of the terrain. Jungle rough, that's not bad at all. So there's basically just no need to push a partial unit there. Meanwhile, many of these guys, including the 65th Brigade and the 7th Tank Regiment, are going to go ahead and push on to Kintabuan to reinforce our troops there. So hopefully with the arrival of those units, we'll be able to counterattack, push these guys out, and again, keep in mind they're going to be getting bombed really bad. So these guys are going to be badly disrupted and probably not able to fight all this well. And again, this is clear terrain in this hex, so there's nothing mitigating those bombing raids. Meanwhile, the 4th Tank Regiment is about to rendezvous with its fragments over here, so they'll be able to push. And the 2nd Tank Regiment hasn't moved out of San Fernando yet, but it will soon. So we'll have several tank units just kind of coming down here and ready to crush these guys. And if we win here, I'll go ahead and send the 7th tanks up this way too. Meanwhile, the Nels and or Bettys will be concentrating on Manila this turn. We've worked over Clark pretty good. There don't seem to be any planes there really. So I think Manila is the better target for the moment. Meanwhile, we have one naval bombardment directed on Batangas to try to take care of these relatively high-value ships. I'm also noticing that Clark has a submarine, along with 4 other ships we haven't identified. So probably port strikes are going to be in order sooner rather than later. However, priority for now is definitely making sure that we don't continue to take casualties here, hence my bomber priority. And this time, with that, that is going to do it. So, see you back at the combat replay. Thanks for watching. Combat replay for December 21st now underway. Oh, damn. So we just picked up Iba by proximity. I didn't want that to happen because I was kind of hoping the next enemy retreat might happen. It might send them there. Oh well. Alright, bombardment at Batangas. Recon says there's still enemy ships here to hit. And there's the Spearfish taking one. Alright. Spearfish hit again. Alright, I'm just going to fast forward through this. Yeah, 2 hits on the Spearfish are all we got, and it's not heavily damaged. Heck, it might end up just putting to sea if it's not hurt that bad. Ooh, what have we here? That is a reinforced Force Z against my heavy cover force. This is going to be a big one. Just traded relatively minor hits. I'll take that back. Dragon just took a big hit. Primary battery from a heavy cruiser that waterlined him. Destroyer takes a bad hit. Now I'm kind of hoping for more of these names to get filled in so I could get a better idea just how even or not these are. The Repulse just took a hit in the superstructure, but the armor soaked it. Ooh, Danae just takes one. Looks like our light cruiser just soaked a hit with its armor. So it looks like the vast majority of the enemy cruisers here are light cruisers. Well, we have 4 heavy cruisers here, so it's starting to look like we've got the firepower edge. Hit Repulse with one of the big ones. Prince of Wales. Oh, he just took a hit from the Prince of Wales. Yeah, Haruna took a primary battery hit, so that was a bad one. Yep, we just got a 36 centimeter hit on Prince of Wales, along with a torpedo hit on the Danae. Followed up by heavy cruiser main battery hits, so I think Danae's probably fighting for its life right now. Why is the Haruna engaging a destroyer? Come on, guys. It's actually the destroyer that ends up hitting the Haruna, although, of course, that was not a very damaging hit. Alright, Danae's gone. Now, I did see a message that somebody flooded their magazines. I really hope that was Danae and not Haruna. Looks like Congo just took a rather serious hit. Yeah, Repulse just got another damaging hit on Congo. So our best ships here have taken some fairly serious hits. Meanwhile, I don't think the Prince of Wales or Repulse have been hurt all that bad. starting to see a lot of torpedoes getting shot. That could turn this our way pretty significantly. There we go. Alright, so got a few penetrating superstructure hits on repulse. Not a super big deal, but definitely happy to see some damage happening there. Alright. Alright, Dragon just took some bad primary battery hits from our heavy cruiser. Reuter soaks one. Destroyers are starting to take a beating. Range is increasing to the point where we're not going to expect a whole lot of damage from torpedoes anymore. Big boys on both sides exchanging some armor hits. There we go. That got through. Yeah. This enemy task force is really kind of a match, or a mix of everyone in the area. We're seeing plenty of Dutch ships added to Force Z along with American ships. They just kind of concentrated everything they had here. Dutch ships taking the worst of the battle. Alright, Prince of Wales takes a serious hit there. Well, maybe not serious. But hit just before the last one. Did get through the armor, and they just took another superstructure penetrating hit. And now we take one. Yeah, between the heavies, the only one that's really taken a serious hit is the Haruna. Nice. a lot of torpedoes being fired all of a sudden again, and, you know, would have made more sense to use this when we were closer. Oh. Yeah, Haruna just took another penetrating hit from Repulse's main battery. So Haruna's in bad shape now. There we go. Congo just got a waterline penetrating hit on Repulse. Yeah. Well, so much for everything I just said about torpedoes. I think that was a long lance hit on Dragon, and Dragon was already in bad shape. So that's 2 enemy light cruisers that are going to be sunk by the end of this. Hoping we can get a few more decent hits on the heavies, because engine damage, flotation damage, that sort of thing is what's going to slow them down, prevent them from getting back wherever they were before the Bettys and Mells show up. Yeah, just got a superstructure hit on Repulse, or maybe it was Prince of Wales. There we go. Alright, main battery hit on Repulse, waterline. So that's flotation damage. Trump just gave the Suzuya a fairly serious hit. The heavies on both sides engaging each other, but no hits of any significance there. Boise looks like it just took a decent hit. No, looks like it took a little bit of a beating there. serious hit from Prince of Wales. Haruna was already damaged badly enough to be in trouble. This armor soaks the next one. Alright, Congo just gave her pulse a serious hit. Looks like our destroyers are starting to take a lot of hits. Congo and Prince of Wales are trading shots. Somebody just took a gun there, but I didn't see who was who. Still between the heavies, it really only looks like it's the Haruna that's been very seriously hit. We've got a few decent hits on both enemy capital ships, just not really enough. Go. Getting some hits on Boise here. There we go. Good hit on Prince of Wales. Just a superstructure hit, so that's not going to slow him down at all. And Prince of Wales takes another one, but does not get through the armor. Waterline Java. Looks like our commander blinked first. Oh, Haruna just took another waterline hit from Prince of Wales. Yeah, we might lose Haruna. Fires on Repulse are growing. Damn it. Yeah, Boise and Jinsu have been trading shots for a little bit, and Jinsu's taking the worst of it. Nope. Prince of Wales hits Congo. Congo misses Prince of Wales. It said hit on one of our 36cm gun mounts. It didn't say the gun mount was destroyed, so I'm not sure what that means. Hopefully that gun is still working. Fires on Jinsu are now quite severe. Thanks, Boise. Wales just hit Haruna again. It's just a superstructure hit, fortunately. Haruna soaks a hit with deck armor, takes another superstructure hit. Yeah, I think Haruna's slowed down to the point where it's a pretty easy target now. There we go. De Ruyter had gotten away with most of this fight without any serious damage, but suddenly taken some serious hits. God, both these task forces, like the whole thing's in flames. It's kind of sickening. It looks like we've got fires on the Congo that are growing. I haven't seen the Congo take all that many hits, but apparently they're not in great shape. Prince of Wales versus Haruna again. Took a superstructure hit. And a waterline hit. Alright, now Congo's getting involved. Gets a superstructure hit on Prince of Wales. that's the end of this one. So Haruna's heavy fire is heavy damage. Yeah, we might lose another battleship, what can I say? Congo looks mostly okay. Nobody else on our side besides Haruna showing with heavy damage. On the enemy side, Prince of Wales and Repulse probably doing okay. I think it was Repulse that did take significant waterline damage, so hopefully we've slowed them down a bit. 2 light cruisers sunk outright, plus Trump with heavy damage. Looks like everybody else with significant damage is not bigger than a destroyer. Alright. Oh. Yeah, somebody's trying to get away. Tanker and a minesweeper? Tanker and a patrol gunboat. This should go pretty quick. Here, 2 torpedo hits on the tanker. Alright, you can sink now. Not too much wasted ammo there. Ooh. That's unexpected. Carrier Division 3 has run into a major enemy transport. It's the Queen Elizabeth. Hopefully we can sink her before we disengage. Carrier task forces are loath to engage in surface combat. Yeah, and they break off. No damage done. It's airstrike time. No joy over Clark. It's a pretty good sign. As with Manila. Alright, so bombers are going to be proceeding without interference in Luzon today. And here's the first, hitting these troops out in the open territory. Lots of sallies on this raid. And they are taking the beating. 243 casualties reported, including 5 squads destroyed and 2 vehicles lost. Yeah, so that hurt. Manila's got thunderstorms protecting it. We do very little damage to the airbase there. Raid at Hong Kong doesn't do a whole lot. Maybe disruption. Little bombers managed to disable 2 squads. This is just about the only enemy unit left in range of these sallies. B-17's at Bangkok. And they turn back. Don't think we got any significant hits on them. B-17's coming to Singkawang. We only have Nates here, although they're doing a better job than the Oscars did at Bangkok for some reason. Bombers still get through. Didn't really do any damage. Come on, Mills. Aircraft landing, for fuck's sake. Alright, so it said the Congo sinks. I think we can be fairly sure that was actually the Haruna. Wouldn't mind getting a airstrike on the Queen Elizabeth. Considering, like, we know where it is, our carriers ran into it. Alright, raids on Townsville. Plenty of flak here. No ships damaged. Cates versus Bowen. No ships damaged. Wells versus Carnes. We found light cruisers. Or at least one light cruiser. Just the Adelaide. Raid cost us a few vels. Didn't hit anything at Brisbane. You know, you guys do have primary naval attack orders, and you have that task force right in front of you. It's probably the Queen Elizabeth. Hit it. He's trying pretty hard to weaken our troops at Singkawang. These bombers really aren't the best for it, though. Nice. We actually managed to shoot one down. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We have enemy ships in range of airstrikes all over the place, and none of the strikes launch. Whether it's off the Australian coast or over there in the South China Sea, man. What do I have to do to get these planes to fly? I mean, we didn't even have, like, regular airfield strikes in Malaya today, did we? Or maybe the weather there is just awful. Anyways, over at Sinyang, we've got 4-to-1 odds versus a core-sized unit, so we force them out with large casualties. Juicy in. Looking forward to this one. We get it. Enemies retreating towards Wenchao. Didn't have to pay much of a price. Hong Kong. We finally get it.
Hello, all you poor GIs and Marines. This is Orphan Anne at Radio Tokyo, bringing you some hot music and another blow to your morale. Today, our High Command announced that the ever-victorious forces of the Japanese Empire have captured Hong Kong.
Alright, we finally did it. Really low casualties on our side, too. Always good to see. And what's more, even though this was a rather protracted battle, I don't think we took that many casualties throughout all of it. One of the advantages of not using shock attacks too often. So I think these guys are going to go to Luzon right away, since it's moving kind of slow there. Yeah, these guys are beaten to nothing. So they just retreat back adjacent to Canton. Yeah, this will be a pretty horrendous day for Allied land casualties. Got a unit to surrender up here. Should be able to take this river crossing. 2-to-1 odds. We didn't get it. Defender's in the wrong op mode, too. I think I probably had troops here on reserve to try to pursue. I'll need to fix that. Attack with everyone. We'll get to Voy. So that's pretty cool. It's us attacking Singkawang, and we capture it. Said something happened to prevent a capture. What was that? Destroyed at least 9 buffaloes on the ground. Yeah, nice. You know what it was? They probably flew some aircraft out to prevent capture. That makes sense. I don't see any reports of ships. Yeah. Ooh. Allied shock attack. Let's see how that works when they're taking major airstrikes. It does look like the enemy has the higher AV here. Yeah, 15 squads destroyed on our side. I guess it worked out pretty well for the enemy. Yeah, we did get a disruption modifier to them. They're up to 110 AV at Raval. Was it always that high? Alright, taking a moment to review the turn. We can see, thanks to Hong Kong falling and all the enemy troop casualties taken today, this is the biggest victory point gain we've had of the campaign so far, by a pretty good margin. I mean, you can see the victory point gain's been pretty slow and steady for the most part, but significant uptick over there. And this uptick that's here is actually the fake one, because that's the sinking of the carriers that never really happened. Air loss is pretty low today. A little bit of an uptick for the enemy, probably because of ground losses, or not. Okay, 20 ops losses. The loss of enemy aircraft at Singkawang were considered operations losses, apparently. So that's what we're seeing here all the way up at the top for the Allies. 9 Dutch Buffaloes and 8 British ones. So significant losses for the enemy on that front. Almost no air losses. Not a whole lot of flak losses either. We're the only ones taking flak losses thanks to our air raids off the Australian coast. Yeah, looking at us. 3 Vals down, 2 expressly to flak, another one to ops. Reasonable to assume that that was somebody scrapped because of flak damage. Nothing too significant on SIGINT, and again, there really never is. Alright, checking on the map. One thing we want to look at right away is Hong Kong. What's the condition of these units here? 38th Division still at 91% strength, so that's who would be relocating. So yeah, that's not bad at all. So, help coming to Luzon soon. Units in contact over here by the river. Obviously, Chusin fell, so it probably means Wenchao's next. Hopefully we have enough. We'll need some recon on Wenchao to get an idea whether that's possible. More units in contact here in the Riverlands area. We finally caught up with this unit behind our lines. So, yeah, it looks like the 22nd is going to shape up to have plenty of land combat. And then we finally defeated the unit that was here. So, I don't know, I think we're probably just going to ignore these guys and clean this up. Oh, and our tanks have arrived. So maybe we don't need to back these guys up here. Yeah, so that's good for China. We're still seeing a lot of activity over in Rangoon. Yeah, that's another transport group. Or maybe just the same one. It doesn't look to me like the troop numbers in Rangoon have picked up all that much. So maybe that's been the same convoy all along. Tavoy is ours. That's good news. I don't know. Might want to see what happens if I press on the Balmain. Don't want to go all in on Burma yet. Don't have nearly enough forces allocated to that. Unloading operations at Bangkok. Don't care about the little guys so much. Alright, 21st Division is almost unloaded. 2nd Division's got a while to go. So hopefully once the 21st clears out the docks, that'll speed up. So I actually thought the Temelo attack was near Temelo. I thought this was where we were fighting. Yeah, so these guys just moved into the hex. So we'll be able to clear these guys out. Yeah, I did reserve an infantry regiment here, so that apparently was a mistake. We don't have enough. So we'll push on with that. Forecasted for rain in the Malaya area. Paying more attention to that just from the number of strikes that did not fly. So the primary enemy force is still here. I would think they'll have time to get away tomorrow, assuming that's what they want to do. Not sure who these guys are. Don't know who they are. Don't know who they are. That's an ASW group. Substantial fighter presence at Palembang. Fighter presence at Singapore has increased significantly, so we know what our bombers are going to be doing. And they're starting to base some fighters in Johor Bahru. Air capacity 4 with just 11 planes reported there. That's nowhere near crowded, so it's not going to be enough to get me to shift targets. Be able to start picking these guys up this turn. Still holding contact on 3 submarines outside of Babel Dobe. Both carrier groups have arrived. It appears they've had no trouble replenishing. Well, at least Carrier Division 2 hasn't. Looks good to me. Be able to start picking our troops back up at Wake. Not a whole lot of activity here. We're not picking up anyone passing through the strait. There were a few enemy ships moving through here. We lost contact on them. Getting close to replenishing our carrier forces. We do have ships sighted at Cairns. Doesn't look like anyone too important. I think Cairns was the base where we saw the Adelaide. Yeah, I don't know why we didn't attack these guys. That is aggravating. As for the next turn, overcast skies predicted. So not the worst weather in the world. So I think it's probably time to give Sydney a visit. Numia may well also be on the hit parade up here. Pearl Harbor looks quiet. Looks like we're mostly getting away with closing in. One of those subs has a significant detection level. But just the one. Quiet on the west coast. Alright, so that's gonna do it. Pretty eventful turn, especially with Hong Kong coming down. Yeah, well, oh. This is interesting. The enemy has advanced to meet us at Tugigaro, and we now have a reformed tank regiment there. So I'm guessing that is going to go really well for the enemy. And we've blocked the central road, so our tanks are going to start moving back down the road towards the enemy tanks over here at Bambang. So that's looking pretty good. Hopefully we'll have our reinforcements here sooner rather than later. Tank regiment will be there tomorrow. 65th Brigade is going to take another turn to get there. Alright, so we'll see you for the actual setup for the 22nd. Thanks for watching.